Jesus, King of the Jews. Then two robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads, saying, "You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. That's right. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." Yeah. In the latter part of verse 40. If you do that, we would believe on you. I want to use that and really come back to it at the very end of this message. The ministry of the spoons, part 4. A long-handled spoon. All right. It'll make sense. For many years during my childhood, I lived in the rural and would be taken out to watch people fish. I never developed an interest in fishing, but I watched folk do it. All right. And it was interesting how they would sit there with their pole and their line and talk while they waited for something to happen. Then later on, when I went to 7th grade, I moved to the city. And in this particular city, I saw something different from regular fishing. It was called crabbing. All right. And for preaching purposes, this first encounter with the exposure of people crabbing comes to mind, and I like to use it as a little parable. You know, before moving near the salt water, I'd seen people engage in freshwater fishing. All right. By pulling a cricket out of a little den or an earthworm and putting that live little insect on a hook. Yes. Then they would drop the line attached to a pole and wait a while, and if things were going their way, they would pull up a freshwater brim or two. Yes. All right. And however, now that I moved from the rural to the city by the sea with its salt water, casting bait into strategic places along the shores took on a whole new meaning. To this day, the image of people tying chicken necks. I know. All right. All right. That's right. And turkey necks to the bottom of a big old wide net. And then lowering all of it down to the bottom of a saltwater inlet remains as an unforgettable image in my mind. All right, all right. And unlike fishing, where one relies on the feeling of a tug on the line, right, whatever happens in the net shows no signs at all. The only way to know if there's any activity is to wait a spell. Then after some measured moments have passed, then you pull it up. All right, right. Sometimes there's nothing but the chicken and turkey necks firmly tied in the bottom of this net. Other times there is a single or several crabs pulled up in the net because they were trying to get to the turkey necks and the chicken necks. And once you grab them, you immediately place them in deep containers. And once caught and placed in the bucket, the behavior of crabs this foreign situation is quite intriguing. This observation into the behavior of a slew of crabs placed in a bucket sends a message to us concerning the will to move up towards higher ground. Other than the occasional aggression shown by the ones that want to dominate the others through the locking of claws, all that is expected down in the bucket. However, by and by, when time moves along, there's drama in the bucket. The moment one is no longer content to succumb to the circumstances, the moment a few crabs start making an effort to climb out, the others take notice. It seems like they say in crab language, where do you think you are going? Getting up just ain't on my mind. So I'm not going to allow it to be placed in yours. And if you're trying to get up, you won't do it in peace.
All right.
And before you know it, a claw comes up as if out of nowhere and grabs the one or the ones who are trying to reach higher ground.
That's right.
Now this crabs in the bucket mentality also shows up in a competitive world among people who don't like to see others getting a leg up on them. Oh, I know I'm talking truth here. This crabs in the bucket way of acting appears among people as well, and can be plainly seen in regards to making progress towards bettering one's condition.
That's right.
This crab parable is based on a true observation in nature. Therefore, nobody can debate with me as to whether I'm telling the truth or not, because if you go hang around a bucket of crabs long enough, you will see the truth in what I am driving at. But then this parable of crabs also shows that there are at least two types of crabs in the bucket. Just like there are at least two kinds of human behaviors exhibited around the subject of progress. Those who are driven by a vision, those who have a vision and don't want to not prosper, those who have a vision to better themselves and their situation, know how to get busy early. And they know how to move with a sense of determination to climb up and rise above their present set of circumstances. Or I can stop here because many of you who have accomplished anything in your life can attest to the fact that early on when you started out to better yourself from wherever you were, and you started doing some things to go ahead, I know without a doubt, I wasn't there at all, but somebody tried to reach up and hold on to you to pull you back. Always somebody there. When you're trying to strive to get ahead.
That's right.
These are the ones who strive to climb out of the bucket. But then those who have no aspirations at all, those who dislike seeing you get up, just like the crabs who were not interested in getting out, deliberately undermine progress.
All right.
By reaching up to grab you by the ankle in an effort to pull you back down.
All right.
An interesting problem that has a godly solution. When trying to rise up and get in position to make a personal vision happen as soon as possible, and I'll also add when it's time to make a church-wide vision, to have a harvest happen as soon as possible, there is a bit of wisdom that's passed on from our elders in the form of an African proverb tradition.
That's all right.
Hold on. This paves the way for getting in position to experience a much-needed breakthrough anyway.
All right.
When there are some people and situations that could potentially become a dream distractor, a vision blurrer because their smoke gets in your eye.
All right.
All is not lost.
All right.
If you have crab claw types attempting to hold you by the ankle while you are pressing on the upward way, new heights you're trying to gain every day,
Yes.
a higher plane that you have found and you have planted your feet on higher ground, but then there's somebody who's trying to pull your foot back off of.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
The higher ground, what I say to you is, fret not.
That's all right.
Fret not. If you listen closely, there are a few African tradition-style parables that made it across the ocean that were coined in the African-American experience in America. And if you listen closely, they can do you much good,
All right.
just as they can do me much good.
All right.
I believe if you listen carefully, they will do us much good.
Yeah.
When the crab mentality tries to disguise itself in good sounding talk that could derail you if you really listen to the comments. And if you don't use, like I talked about 2 weeks ago, a golden slotted spoon to filter out the negativity,
All right.
it might stop your progress.
All right.
And perhaps there's a word that you hear that came from somebody that you knew, somebody that you love, that said, don't take no wooden nickel.
All right. All right. All right.
Don't take no wooden nickel.
Yeah.
In other words, don't be naive. And whatever you do, don't be gullible.
All right.
I believe the whole nation can get a whole lot of wisdom from that little saying.
Yeah.
Don't take no wooden nickel.
Yeah.
I see a whole lot of wooden nickels being thrown around in politics.
That's right.
A whole lot of people grabbing wooden nickels thinking that they are silver dollars.
All right.
You understand? That's why those of us who know the difference between a wooden nickel and a real coin need to make sure that pretty soon you go out and cast your vote.
All right. Amen.
Ain't no time for sitting back and arguing about, who we have to deal with. You got to deal with who you got to deal with. You might as well try to determine who's got the real value and who ain't nothing but a wooden nickel. I believe there's a whole lot of wisdom that came from that African